Kevin Nash. Boom. Nothing like it. Don't try to fight it. Good evening and welcome to the Poetry of Justice show with Jackie Ray Phillips here on YikesRadio.com. Now you know, on the Poetry of Justice show, this is where social consciousness meets the arts. And what we do is we select topics that challenge the culture and diversity, leaving listeners thinking and saying in unison, yikes! Did y'all hear that? Emmett, one more time, please.
One more time.
Yeah, give it to me now. Give it to me. Boom. Those are the sultry sounds of the Mr. Kevin Nash, my mentor, which I'm so honored and proud to say. You guys know that because guess what? He dubbed me the Queen of Yikes. Yay! I love Kevin Nash.
Right.
Woohoo! But anyway, that is the sultry sounds of Mr. Kevin Nash, and I do. Thank you, E. I do choose to take the time to give him homage and respect because to me, if it were not for Kevin Nash, there would not be certain platforms for individuals to do what they like to do here at Accelerated Radio and then of course here at Yikes Radio. So homage and respect to the Mr. Nash. And then I also want to give respect and homage to my benefactors, WMPJ Steelwork and APS Muscle Cars. I've been dubbing it APS Muscle Cars of the Stars because you know, old man Mr. P, some of the newer customers here have been, of an elevated status. So anyway, APS Muscle Cars, and to the one and only Miss Lori Ray Fisher, aka Gingy Productions and Entertainment Company. So thank you so much to my sponsorship and benefactors for us to do what we like to do here in the Poetry of Justice show, where social consciousness meets the arts. And of course, I'm just going to do a real quick introduction for you, Ross, because I am very honored to have back in the studio. I'm uncertain to the amount of time because you all remember everything that happened with my mom and all that, her passing and stuff. So we were a little bit derailed, but the show kept going even though we weren't physically in the studio. Praise be to God, if you went to YikesRadio.com at 6 o'clock p.m., you are able to hear the show. That being stated, I am honored to have back in this station, everybody. I called her, dubbed you this. We're going to talk about this. I dubbed her this maybe about a year and a half ago now, because this woman is amazing. She is a mother, a single mom of an amazing baby boy.
Yeah.
Young man, little.
Yeah.
Well, he's a little boy now.
Needs a job.
And this woman has so many degrees. Educational. She takes the time. Education. You guys know about the scholarship fund that the Ray family, my family's doing in honor of my mother, the late Juanita Ray. It is the Juanita Ray Memorial Scholarship Fund. And my mother and father, education, that's the key for black people. At that time, that's all we cared about was our people. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and I don't really give a shit. So my people, it was education. My parents taught us the only way you're gonna really get this going on without getting caught up in the white man's system of dysfunction is to get yourself an education. And so that's everything that I know. I made some derailment decisions, but at the end of the day, I did go back to school and get my degree. But at the end of the day, it's just really an honor, Gigi and Frida and Emmett, to be able to give back to the community, but just to let everybody know that she dedicated 45 years of her life educating the citizens, the babies, the students of Compton.
Says a lot.
And we're going to get into that because we're going to talk tonight about early childhood, right?
Yes.
Trauma, childhood trauma,
Yes.
how it shapes our lives now.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to get dirty and into that. But in the meantime and in between time, I'm blessed to have Gigi Richmond, also known as Miss Gay Leah, Gigi Richmond back in the studio because she brings a wealth of knowledge, information, raw, uncut, because you're in the field.
Yes.
Tell everyone, Gigi, what it is you're doing now, because you've just been blessed.
Yes.
All praise be to God. And your hard work, you've just been blessed and have received
Yes.
an amazing blessing. Please go.
So, I have a new role. I'm now a psychiatric social worker for LA County Department of Mental Health.
Woo-hoo.
And
I love to hear that.
I am on the START team, which is the School Threats Assessments Response Team. And this job is very needed, very critical, but our whole goal on the START team is to prevent a school shooting from happening, prevent
Wow.
a mass shooting from happening. And how the team does that, it's a team of social workers, psychologists, case managers, and our whole goal is we identify the threat and manage the threat so that they don't commit a mass shooting or a school
Mhm.
shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So, this past week I have been reading about every mass shooting that has happened in the United States.
Wow.
And the first mass shooting, believe it or not, happened in 1979 in San Diego, female shooter.
Wow.
So we're learning that it's not male, it's not female, it's not high socioeconomic status, it's not low. It's a combination, and also that no one just snaps.
No.
It's always a buildup, and we
Mhm.
look at, so as a team, we're looking at if a kid is making a threat at school, how viable is that threat? And how can we manage that threat and figure out how to get them the systems and the tools in place that they need so they don't explode?
Mhm.
So if a kid is being bullied, or if a kid is being, or if he is the bully,
Right.
you know, if he's made a threat against a teacher or a staff person or another student, we intervene.
Right.
And we talk to everybody. We talk to the individual who's made the threat, the teachers. We go far as back as however we can go back. If they're in elementary school, how are they in preschool?
Right.
Because looking at the whole person and looking at, you know, how do they deal with stress?
Right.
Did they have a significant loss in the family? Did somebody just die?
Mm.
How significant was that loss? So it's a journey in this job. It's an emergency response team. So this is now my new passion. And as I was reading this week, what rocked me was Sandy Hook,
Sandy Hook.
which took place in 2012. And, you know, I think it was 28 people who
And that's,
died,
in
young
Livingston,
children.
East Coast?
East
Right.
Coast, Sandy Hook Elementary School, and I
Mhm.
had to like
Yeah.
take a break in reading and hearing the details of, you know, what happened up until, and I'm just like, young children, this happened like December 15th, so this was like a week and a half before Christmas, and what people may not know is two of the parents who lost their children in Sandy Hook have since committed suicide. The most recent
Wow.
suicide was in March of this year. So, how trauma has long-term effects on those is not just you lose somebody, but what happens months, weeks, and years after the TV cameras have left, after no one's talking about it anymore, because there's been so many different mass shootings. It's like you hear about it, you turn off the news, and then a couple weeks later, a year later, there's another one. So school shootings, mass shootings are preventable if you can identify the threat and manage the threat so that they don't become a threat. And our team also services community colleges, Cal States, private universities. So we're also looking at who's making a threat on college campuses, and we're also learning that kicking a kid out of school, whether it's, you know, K through 12 or college, doesn't help. That actually accelerates it and pisses them off even more, because now I've been kicked out of school because of my behavior.
And a lot of times, that's the only thing that's
They have
normal,
going on. Mhm.
what's going on in their life.
Well, you ladies, I got you all, of course, Gigi Richmond, when you do what you do, but I didn't even get to introduce our show topic. Wow.
I know, right?
Right, so ladies and gentlemen, tonight on the Poetry of Justice Show, you see we're already getting into it. We've got Miss Aaliyah in the house, and so Aaliyah's gonna join us and chime in when she gets ready and when we feel good. But we're gonna be talking about mental health.
Yes.
Mental health,
Yeah.
a new understanding. So if
Yes.
we need something to, the mental health part, health means that there is an illness.
Yep.
Right?
So I call mental health is a checkup from the chin up, from
Got
here to here. We checking all of this because, you know, the doctors, they're gonna check your heartbeat, they check your blood levels, you know, they check all that stuff, but nobody's checking on what's going on in here.
Mm-hmm.
And mental health is something that there's a stigma around it. And the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So definitely, mental health is everything. Mental health is just a part of life, but because if we say someone has a mental illness, people feel like that's a deflection on who they are and their personality, and that has nothing to do, mental health, a mental health issue can happen to anybody. You can be in a car accident and end up having experiencing trauma, you can lose someone, have trauma, you know, mental health, and sometimes there's a pre-genetic disposition. If your mother, grandfather, somebody else in the family had a mental health issue, you're at a more advantage of getting it or experiencing it, and everybody handles stuff differently. You know, everybody, some people can watch a scary movie and be like, oh, this is good. Some people watch a scary movie, they have to turn their head, turn it off. So everybody deals with stuff differently, and everybody is not built and made the same. And I think especially for as African American women, you always gotta be strong. Be strong.
Right.
And it's like, what about nobody checks on the strong ones? Because they need help too sometimes. If they're out busy supporting everybody else and being strong for everybody else, who's being strong for them?
Hey,
So it's
Leah,
definitely needed.
I agree with you about the stigma part, but Frida Ross, I got Frida Ross in the house. How are you tonight, Frida Ross?
Hey, I am excellent.
Yeah, what do you think about tonight's topic?
Oh, you know, come on now. This is
Our
what I
listeners gotta
do.
understand you,
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's what I,
Could you let everybody reintroduce your credentials to our listeners?
yeah, I am, a substance use disorder specialist, first and foremost, and, here recently, I've become a clinical case manager. Yeah, so I'm dealing with, every day, the mental health issues that are plaguing our society and the substance use disorders and, you know, and everything that comes along with that. It's so much more intricate
Yes.
than what people, you know, give it. You know what I'm saying? It has so many different layers to it, and kinda almost impossible to really kinda grasp. You know what I'm saying? But just like with what we're gonna be talking about tonight, you're talking about the babies, this whole adverse childhood experience thing, and that lady is awesome.
That
I've
Dr.
said
Nadine
it.
Burks.
Yes, ma'am. I've
And she's
said it.
actually our first ever Surgeon General of the state of California. California has never had a Surgeon General. I mean, she is a top doctor
Yes,
for the
she
state of
is.
California. And she's black, and she's real. And the ASIC studies, if you guys have a chance to check it out, it's on TED Talk, but ASICs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, which we'll get into, but you have to watch the TED Talk. It talks about children who experience a trauma, meaning growing up in poverty, you know, domestic violence,
Incarceration, and
parents
divorce.
incarceration, divorce, all of those things mean it's a pathway to 20 years from now you'll have health issues, cancer, heart disease, diabetes. So trauma is causing physical and real ailments to happen to your body.
Not to mention the mental health issue.
Mental health.
Right?
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So it's just like if you don't deal with it, it will eventually deal with you. So that's why mental health is so important, and we know that children are very resilient, but a lot of times people don't take the time to tell kids what's going on. Oh, they're too young to understand. No, they understand. They clearly understand. My son was watching TV a couple weeks ago, and this was an article, R. Kelly stuff came out, and he looked at me and said, he's a bad man. My son is 3 years old. He saw something on television, and he just saw his face, he was like, he's a bad man. And I'm like, never has seen R. Kelly, never has mentioned R. Kelly, but kids pick up on stuff, and sometimes we can't bypass that. Oh, they're too young to remember what happened at home. No, kids remember. Oh, you know, they were 4 years old. They're too young to realize that their mom was verbally abusive to their dad, or their dad was beating their mom. They don't remember that. They're too young.
I'm ready to say they may not even remember the exact experience, but the body, the brain, has a way of filtering things, first of all, so that young children who don't have those defense mechanisms can develop ways to deal with the trauma that's going on. But they get to be 10, 12, 14, 16, they can't remember the trauma itself, but they definitely are acting out as a result of that trauma, you know what I'm saying? And this whole mental health is just blown wide open, and it's still, you know, it's like every other day, like I can find something new that I've not even touched on before that's advantageous to me in the work that I do, you know what I'm saying?
And trauma affects the brain. It stops development. So if you have a trauma at age 4, and then by the time you're 8 or 9, now you have this learning disability. Where does this come from? Trauma. Trauma stops you from, it stunts your growth. It stunts your developmental abilities, and that's why it's so important when you have a trauma happen at any age, you
It's
get the help
addressed.
that you have to address it, because if not, you develop negative coping skills, right? There's positive coping skills, there's negative coping skills. A negative coping skill, drugs and alcohol.
Mhm.
Now you're drinking, now you're smoking, now you know, using drugs through an IV, because
You don't even know.
It's
why.
just,
don't even know why.
you need
And you
help,
don't even
and
know
you
why.
need relief, and you want the pain to go away.
I had a client tell me that she drank because when she drank, she could be real. And when she was sober, people ran over her, you know, didn't listen to her. So when she was drunk, she felt like she was free and just able to express and would cuss people out. But sober her wouldn't do that. She didn't have the skills. So part of me working with her in session was to build the skills to where she could find her voice and speak up for herself and not have to do it when she's drunk.
Right.
Because alcohol, you know, alcohol affects you. It affects your organs, your system, your ability to function. You know, you only drink so long, you drink yourself out of a liver. You know, so it's
I've
real.
seen that happen. Sadly, God bless his soul to my
It's
brother. Have you
real.
seen that happen before, Leah?
Yeah, I have an aunt
Really?
who died of alcohol poisoning. Yeah, it's real.
Now, were any of these factors associated on the onset, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure. In
Right.
her case, I'm not sure.
Right,
But I can imagine that they were.
Right,
Yeah.
it would make sense.
Yeah, very common things.
Yeah, because I know guys that we have with, it says that childhood trauma affects health across the lifetime, but Galia, did you see the part where she talks about it can affect your whole hormonal system?
Yes.
And actually can alter your DNA?
Yes. Crazy how trauma can alter your genetic makeup.
Mhm.
And we have to touch on 400 years of being in slavery, what that did to our DNA. 400 years of trauma. You can't stop 400 years of trauma in 100 years, in 200 years. So how many years are we post-slavery? Maybe like 100 years out. So we're still dealing with the ramifications of slavery. It is in our DNA.
Mhm.
The stress, the trauma.
Mm.
It's
So it's
in our
not just
genetics.
us, them telling us that it's the Popeye chicken.
Right.
Boom. I'm just saying, on the straight real.
Yep.
Right.
But then you're gonna continue to put some shitty shit in the, you know, and then the alcohol and so forth.
Environmental stressors. You know, when
Yes.
I've you know, just finished working for Children's Institute, I was in Spot 6, I was in Watts. I was between the Nickersons, the Jordan Downs, and Imperial Courts. I couldn't give my clients interventions of, oh, when you're feeling stressed, go outside and take a walk.
Right.
No.
Mhm.
That was an intervention I couldn't do. You couldn't put your baby in a stroller and walk down the street.
Or
You
some
know?
CBT. Go
Yeah.
get a worksheet.
Yeah, do a worksheet. Like, that
Really?
doesn't work. They needed hard, concrete. And I would work with them based on their environment. If I had somebody who was in school, your intervention is gonna be school-based. What are things that you can do in school where you already are? And I've seen clients, I know when I had to say goodbye to my clients, one of my clients was like, you know what? I was only with you for 4 months, but I progressed faster with you in 4 months than I did with my other therapists for a year and a half. She said I would lie to her and tell her I did the interventions, it didn't work. She said, but you understood that I was a student, I was a wife, and I was a mom. So I only had so much limited time
Right.
to access and do the things and the tasks. And she said, I'm able to go out with my friends. I can speak up in class now. I'm not afraid. She was so anxious. Like, meeting her, she would just be sitting there shaking, like anxiety that bad. And I'm like, she comes in now, it's like, now you make eye contact. Now you can laugh. I said, now you seem more relaxed. And I was just 4 months. But you have to, I'm a believer, you have to be culturally aware. You can't just work in a certain neighborhood and not know anything about that neighborhood.
Right.
You can't just be like, oh, it's the same as, no, it's not, it's not. Know the history, I knew the history of Watts, the 1965 Watts riots. I knew the history, I knew how in Watts, there's no gas station that's close, there's no movie theater, there is no mall, there's no access to healthy food. You have to know that, so you're like, these people here are oppressed, but they're oppressed more than the average.
Right.
And the way, you know, just driving to work every day, the face, people's faces, you can see them literally wearing
The
a
pain.
stress.
The look of the atmosphere, period. I know every time I have to go there, I have a client that just moved there. Not in those apartments, but just on one of the little side streets to it. And I know when I have to drive there, I even notice how my smile turns into a frown in the car. And it's not because I'm afraid or it's because, like, this is depressing.
Yes.
The way that it looks,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, hell,
Energy.
I would be angry and
Shit.
mad too if I got up every morning and
just saying,
opened up
get
my
down.
door and you talking about letting the sun shine in,
Right, there is no sun.
right?
There is no shine.
And they're
There's-
right, that part.
No. It's so
And knowing this is where you live and knowing this is where you have to send your kid to school.
and not having any hope that situation can change, because that's a whole nother thing, right?
Yep.
That we have the generations and generations and generations of people that are right there in the Nickerson Gardens, Jordan Downs, the Imperial Courts, you know what I'm saying? Like, their great grandparents lived there and it's just continued, you know what I mean?
And I really feel like, for some of my clients, I really feel like their mental health issues would decrease if they move somewhere
That
else.
could be somewhere else.
If they can move out of the projects, their environment would be, their mental health would be different state, but this is what you come home to every day.
Yeah.
You know, different shootings, being on lockdown. I remember the day of Nipsey Hussle's funeral, our job told us, you guys cannot come to work because the funeral procession is gonna stop
It
right
was
here at the
bad.
job.
Yeah.
And 4 people got shot that day, right, blocks from my job, blocks. So I'm like, this is real life, and the sad part was, sometimes I would get sad because I was like, you know what, I get to go home. I don't have to live here, but just imagine you had to stay here every day. How happy would you remain? How healthy would your mental health stay if you had to live like this every day?
That's pretty glum.
Yeah.
Pretty glum,
So mental health is everything. Mental health is something we talk about, because we all know, sorry, growing up, we always had that one uncle or that one aunt. You'd be like, they tripping.
Right.
We all know it, but nobody says it. And
That
the-
would be me.
and
Well,
the black,
I laugh and you know what I say, it's this little thing, this little girl, and they got her out there, her hair is all curly, and she just looked like she is just out of her mind, and she's got this mason jar jug and her leg is crossed. That's it. In black and Hispanic, households and stuff, we dress ours up and put it out on the porch. We don't address the
Yes.
mental health issues, but the children or the child is treated as though everything is normal, right?
Right.
And, to look at this, to see that on Facebook, it's funny, it's cute, you know what I mean? But it's so real and it's so sad, because that really is what's going on in our community.
everybody knows it, but I could turn a blind eye to it. I remember it was an episode on Iyanla Vanzant, Change Fixed My Life. And there was an episode, and she did an activity with a mom, and the background was her daughter was biracial, black dad, the mom was white. She was molested by her bio grandfather, her white grandfather. She was molested by him, and they just swept it under the rug. Come to find out, the mom was molested. It was like generational
Legacy.
molestation. And what Iyanla did with her, she did an activity, they were in the kitchen, they were baking a cake. And she would Iyanla would tell her what ingredients to put in the cake, and then the doorbell would ring. She would, go check the door. As she would check the door,
I
Iyanla
remember
would
that
put
one.
ingredients that didn't belong in the cake, and then she would come back and keep mixing, and she would put some mustard in there. The doorbell rings again. Boom, she put some ketchup in there. And she was like, see, do you see how you mixing this cake? You know it's not right. You know these are the wrong ingredients, but you just keep stirring it like nothing is wrong. This is how you've dealt with your trauma. This is how you've dealt with
You
your life.
act
This
like
is why
nothing.
you act like, and there's been so many times where trauma and abuse is going on, but we just not gonna talk about it. We don't talk, it's black culture, you don't talk outside the house. You let the white folks in your business?
Yeah.
And that has done us a disadvantage and a disservice, because white folks been going to therapy for years. They have a therapist on standby, okay? But us,
Right.
be suffering in silence.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what I wanted to ask is, what about finding the right words? This is where I want to go with this. Finding the right words to describe mental health and mental illness, because there has been such a stigma
Yes.
placed upon it. I did a little bit of research and kind of going back to Aristotle's viewpoint, Hippocrates' viewpoint, Freudian's viewpoint. But at the end of the day, we know that $6 trillion is a great deal of treasure, and we spend it willingly, even desperately, to care for people who were once been known to have been shunned and reviled. And historically, it was as if, these people are berserk. These people
Right.
are mad, a madness. And
Right.
so, we had the ice shock therapy treatments that came to try to get people back in order. That went so far as to go to a lobotomy.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna
Yes.
cut somebody's head
Yes.
open and
Yeah.
cut out a part of their brain.
So-
What is monstrous,
The
in my
Ken-
opinion.
Yes, very monstrous. So they're the Kendi sister.
The father did it to that child.
There's a book, I still haven't finished the book, but one of the, this is why they were so outspoken about mental health.
Yes.
So, their sister, she was like awkward in her behavior. Like, you could probably tell, I would say today she would be on the autism spectrum. And so she was like this her whole entire life. But you know, there are a lot of Kendi siblings. So at one point they sent her to an institution to the point where the younger siblings didn't even know she existed. And they performed a lobotomy on her in attempts to fix her, and that made her worse. It made her like a vegetable. So, once the other siblings found out, they constantly visited her, and that's when their advocacy came in for more mental health, because, you know, there's a Short Doyle Act, which up until like the 80s, people were locked in institutions for mental health issues, like locked away, like a nursing home we don't ever see. Most mental health is manageable with the right medication and therapy. Schizophrenia
Exercise.
is manageable. Depression is manageable. Anxiety is manageable. But when you don't treat it, that's when it becomes. You can live a great life with schizophrenia. It won't be probably you can live a better quality of life. I'll say that.
Right.
With the treatment, you know, borderline personality. That's
That's
one
a
of the
rough
hard
one.
ones. That's a rough one. I've had a client with borderline personality. You
That's a
know,
rough one.
I call it those revenge seekers. They'll do anything. You hurt them, they want to hurt you 10 times worse. Acrimony. She was borderline personality on that movie with Taraji P.
That's
Henson.
right.
And you know, Taraji P. Henson has a nonprofit that
sure
focuses
does.
on mental health. And she has an event coming up, girl. I'm trying to make it in DC. If you're listening, you know, can I get a free ticket and a flight? But she has a whole mental health foundation, because mental health is real and it needs to be addressed. You have to address it. You just cannot, you know,
Well, thank
not
God
bypass
for
it.
the Poetry of Justice show
Yeah,
here,
That's
right?
what we're doing tonight.
So we just gotta tackle it and take it head on. Now, this is what I wanna begin to put into our mindsets, and we're gonna go deeper into that, deeper into the show. Look, Frida Ross, what do you think about mental health illness versus, or in conjunction with spirituality? What part in your walk has spirituality played in the work that you do and what you see in mental health?
Well, first off, I would like to say that for those that I have worked with that did have a conscious contact with a higher power, you know what I'm saying? They were more readily treatable. You know what I'm saying? I definitely believe that there is a huge need for, you know, things of the spiritual realm to be brought into the treatment of an individual, the treatment episode of an individual at some point. You know what I mean? Once you can get this person stable, you know what I'm saying? I do believe that that's something that should be introduced. Unfortunately, that's not the clinician's job, you know what I'm saying? In fact, they kind of frown on that in the field, but I mean, that's it with all, in any area of your life, you know, but definitely when you are living a life that is problematic, substance abuse, mental health issues, physical health issues, when you can speak to a higher power or connect to a higher power, I believe that your journey, your recovery journey, or your treatment journey, if you will, that episode can, some of the anxiety around it can be lessened.
It's
I think.
definitely a strength.
Yeah.
And in the middle, from a therapist standpoint, if the client brings it up, I can use it. So I use that as a protective factor. So believe it or not, I had a lot of clients, African American female clients, who were suicidal and have attempted suicide in the past, and the only thing that kept them alive was their children. So I use their children as a strength. Well, you know, I'm like, well, this happens, who's gonna raise your kids? Okay, nobody, you don't have nobody to help you with your kids. So that was a strength to keep them alive. But then I got them to the point of what happens when your kids become 18 and they start living their own lives, and that's not a strength. So I had to tell I would get a lot of my clients of, you gotta stop living for your kids and live for yourself. Even with your kids, because these kids, this is something to do now, but, you know, as they go through adolescence, they form their own peer groups, they wanna be with their
Sure.
friends, so, you know, 5 and 6, yeah, they're hanging out with mommy. When they get 10, 11, 12, sometimes 9, they're like, hey mom, you know, can you wait for me at the gate instead of walking me to the classroom, because my friends are looking at me.
Right.
You know, they're creating their own worlds, and teens need that, but spirituality is everything. If you believe in a higher power, if it's Allah, if it's Jesus, Jesus Cristo, whoever it is, I'm gonna use that in treatment, because that is a strength, the power of, you know, resiliency of prayer. I'm like, meditation is a form of prayer, so I'm like, you pray, you read your scriptures. I would even assign to them homework assignments that were scripture based, or part of your intervention is to join a small Bible study group, you know, join a church community, because seeing outside of yourself makes a huge difference, and it can give you a different viewpoint on how to deal with your internal issues.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And it opens up a whole nother realm of support, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I think also is key in these situations with people, the support, see, because with mental health issues as well as substance abuse, there's a lot of isolation,
Yes.
like, you know, so, yeah, it opens up another.
And isolation is really bad. I think my African American female clients did not have any friends. They had, and I just,
Leah, what do you think about that?
That's interesting. Sorry, not to
No,
cut
no,
you
no,
off.
I want you to the dialogue, please, yeah.
My friend and I have a friend, she lives in Vegas, we're super duper close, and she's a mental health professional as well. She actually just graduated, congratulations, Mara. But yeah, we were talking about how as Black women, we don't have a lot of friends.
Yep.
And
Trust
like,
issues.
there's a big Black female community in the Los Angeles area as well as in Vegas, and it's just like, we're not friendly even with each other.
We're
Yes.
not.
No, that is true, we will rip each other down like,
Yeah.
and I always go back to trust issues, and then a lot of my clients, they had issues with their mom. So if your mom is supposed to be your support, but your mom is abusive, neglected, using drugs, so if you have that trust, if you can't trust your mom, and that's your first example of a female
Of life.
trust system, and that's supposed to be the person who's supposed to protect you, how can you have a meaningful relationship with other women? And I just thought about my circle of friends, and I'm like, I couldn't imagine going through life without from my friends. Like, how difficult would life be if I was just by myself? But a lot of people, Black women, do not trust other women. I would be like, hey, I'm having a group on Monday. Oh hell, I ain't coming to your group talking. I don't know them people. I'm like, I'll be there. Oh hell no. I said, it's not even a group talking about yourself. It's a life skills group. This is a group to help you in your process. And they won't come together and congregate. But our Latino women, they're all about community. They're all about women.
Yes, yes.
And it's so
Remember little
different.
Tatiana? She talked about, she was on our show about culture.
Yes.
Yeah, Tati. Hi,
Culturally,
Tati.
the women-
Shout out.
The women do, they celebrate together, they do stuff, and as a Black woman, we just don't. It's so many competitiveness and these dividers and these things, and I'm like, how powerful would it be if we came together?
But I do want to interject and let my portion of listeners know. My part, it's not just Black women.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with white girls in Orange County.
It's a reoccurring thing.
Them females, shit. I'm just saying, so I just want to put it out that it ain't just us sisters. I'm just saying, FYI. I don't know. We go talk about
saying
it.
that.
I
Yeah,
just
it's important to point
it ain't
that
just
out.
us, you know what I'm saying? Straight real. But at the end of the day, just maybe we could look at it from a global perspective, Gigi.
Yes.
Just women
Yeah.
in general. You know, oftentimes people are like, you know what, I'm cool.
You know,
I don't even want to deal with old girl.
I don't think that it's always been that way, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Back in, you know, the times of slavery, women were close. I mean, we were all that we
They live in each
had.
other's space.
You know what I'm saying? And in the era of Jim Crow, you know what I'm saying? When blacks were coming into these communities and it was all of them, you know what I'm saying? It was the women who really would get together with the families and get them together, and they'd make this
Organized.
plan to migrate north and go here, even after slavery and all of that. But I would say, you know, because personally, I can like relate 100, I can relate like 250%, really. You know what I'm saying? But being in the process of recovery, and as well as dealing with other people, you know, working in the mental health field, I know that it took me doing some work in order to, I did not have this hate for women. I did not have a, you know, like I didn't just look at you. In fact, like I look at women, I look at this young lady, right? She is absolutely gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? And I've always been that way. You know what I mean
Yes.
about women? I think that we go back to the ACEs and stuff like that. I had
Yes.
a lot of situations to go on as a young girl in elementary school, in middle school, that really caused me not to be so accepting
Right,
of women,
right.
you know? And then I have, you know, there was 5 of us, 5 girls. One of my sisters passed, you know, and we're really, really close, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't feel like I was missing anything, you
Right.
know?
You need friends, you had your 4 sisters,
Right,
you know?
but there's a need for that connection, there's a need for that coalition, if you
Yes.
will. And especially adult black women, you know, because we face a lot of mental health issues,
Yes.
anxiety, you name it, there's a
Anxiety
need
is
for it.
huge.
It's horrible, it feels horrible.
Anxiety is huge. We all have anxiety, right? Everybody has a little bit of anxiety.
Because that's what gets you going.
That's what gets you going, that helps you finish that
That's right.
task. The anxiety wakes you up in the morning. But it's when that anxiety stops you from doing stuff. And it's so, for me, I didn't really get an understanding of anxiety until after I had my son, believe it or not. After I had my son, I became claustrophobic. Before I had him, the window seat on a plane was my favorite. I would love to be in the window seat. Now I gotta be on the edge. I gotta see what's going on.
Girl, you doing better
I
than
can't
me.
even ride. I can't even ride in the back seat of a car. A couple months ago, I was going to lunch with my
Ooh, I know
coworkers.
you was about to freak.
I was like, okay, we're gonna go to lunch real quick. I got in the back seat. He had a little jet, and he had
Oh, God,
black
no.
tinted windows, and it
Yikes.
was so dark. I said, oh, y'all gotta let me out.
Woo.
I gotta have to ride in the front seat, and I'm still like, whoo. So, you know, anxiety, and I'm like, what does it feel like? And I had to try to get an MRI a while ago, and they were like, oh, you know, we have the clothes. I opened my eyes. I felt like I was in a coffin. I said,
Girl.
then at an open MRI, I said, this is
That
not
shit
gonna
is still
help.
fucked
It's
up,
still
right?
It's still not so I was like, if this is what people go through when they have anxiety and talking to crowds and feeling overwhelmed, I said, this is a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can still get on elevators. I don't have a fear of height, but being in tight, close spaces, like, you know, being on a plane or being in the backseat of cars where it's really close, I'm like, no.
My
Yeah.
anxiety is like extremely situational, and especially here in like the last 2 years. But now, of course, after, you know, becoming more learned about these, you know, these different type of issues and things, I do realize that I was suffering from anxiety many years ago. You know what I'm saying? We were just talking about this not too long ago.
I look back at my
You know?
childhood when I was growing up. I was afraid of bugs, insects. I remember one time Mom told me, I said, it's chasing me. She said, fool, that's your shadow. I was afraid of my shadow. I was a kid growing up. My mom be like, I'ma leave. I'm like in high school. I'm like, how long you gonna be gone? When you coming back? Most kids will be like, oh, she gone.
Bye.
I did not like being alone. I never liked being alone. I'd be like, something's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna break in when she's gone. And nothing ever happened, but I didn't realize that I had these anxious behaviors since I was a child, but just never knew what it was until I got to grad school. And I was like, that's my issue right there on the board. And I'm like, we all have a little anxiety, but I do a good job of managing it.
Yeah.
Like talking myself down, you know, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the grounding techniques. Okay, I'm gonna look at the TV, I'm gonna look at the green thing, I'm gonna look at this mic, and just bringing yourself back to reality, because once you get into that anxiety pothole, you can forget it. That's when the panic attacks happen, the meltdown, you feel like you're having a heart attack, you go to the emergency room, they tell you what's wrong with you.
Your hands are
Sweating, shaking.
and pulsating, and then what the worst part about the panic attack is when your brain stops.
When you can't
At
think
its
of what to
fullest
do.
capacity, and you're just living at that point, you're paralyzed. Because your brain is now, because all that physical has,
Right.
It's risen up.
and you're just so stuck.
It's paralyzing.
Boom. Have you
So
ever
it's
had that?
Anxiety? No.
Yeah.
I don't think I
To
have
panic.
the amount of anxiety that it causes a problem at all.
Right.
But like you said, we all have anxiety, right? But what you said that did kind of spark me is that you were looking back at your childhood, right? I'm 23, And lately, or at this time in my life, I have been like looking back on my childhood. Because I think at 23, you're trying to figure out like why you are the way you are, why you tick a certain way. And I just think it's interesting that at 23, I'm already like going back and being like, oh, well, that did cause some issue. That may be why I act a certain way now.
That's amazing. It's good to be 23 and be cognizant
There you go.
Aware.
of the need to do that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
oftentimes 23 years old, they ain't.
I
I know I wasn't. You know what I mean?
Like, hey,
But the-
party, turn up.
The anxiety things, like I said, I have always had it, but I think because of the substance use, it was masked, but I would have,
self-medication,
I
right?
would have big ones then too, like I was always having a heart attack, every time I smoke a Primo, I had to go to the hospital, no, but, after I had a heart attack 2 years ago,
Wow.
and
Yikes.
there's been a couple occasions that I've had to go back to the emergency room, and I've gotten back to the emergency room, went through triage, and then everything was fine, and I realized, okay, Frida, you were just having an anxiety attack. I can get too far away from home. I can try to go on a road trip, and for some, I don't know why, but, well, yes, I do, anxiety. I start thinking, there's no Kaisers out this way.
Okay.
My cardiologist, how is he gonna get to me if I'm way out here somewhere? And automatically, it just starts building up my mind, and like you said, you can get too far in the throes of it and you can't get back, but I'm cognizant of that. So for me, what works is prayer.
Yeah, and knowing what those triggers are, you have to identify the triggers.
But
You gotta
Gigi-
know when you get at the start of it, you don't let it get to the
You
top.
don't
The
even-
But
triggers.
I need you ladies to explain how to do that. Because, to our listeners, because remember we were talking about that our underserved population,
Yes.
which is our listeners and everybody else.
Absolutely.
We may know that, but what about our people who don't know? So Gigi, give it to us.
Triggers, things that start to make you feel uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So like
The physical,
the
explain what that.
physical, like you start feeling these physical reactions in your body, your stomach.
Okay.
Your
Okay.
stomach starts to become easy. Your breathing changes.
Okay.
You start getting shaky.
For
So
no
when you
reason.
start for no reason, so when you start feeling that, you don't just ignore it. You have to deal with it.
Okay.
So there's different things you can do. There's grounding techniques. There's all kinds of grounding techniques. You can
Can we
say
do one right now?
we can do a grounding technique. My favorite one is a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's do that. Teach
So
us.
5 things you can see in the room. So what are 5 things you can see right now in this physical space?
Can I turn my head around?
You
Or
can
do I
look-
have to just look?
you can
5
just look.
things.
5 things that you can see right now.
Okay.
So you look at those 5
Things or people?
Things.
Okay.
So I can see the TV on the wall, I can see the green sheet, I can see the light, I can see this blue water bottle. Those just 5 things. Then what are 4 things you can touch? I can touch this desk, I can touch the mic, I can touch my phone, I can touch, just 4 things you can touch. 3 things that you can smell.
Now, what if you're in the throw and you can't even remember 5?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you just keep going.
You just say the numbers, but do I have to? Is the brain gonna?
Cause the whole thing is you wanna snap your brain out
Okay.
and keep of those thoughts going, because if I can focus on things in the room,
Got it.
I'm grounding myself and bringing myself back to reality,
Down.
and I'm
Okay.
not letting that thought process go, because once that thought process goes, there's no coming back.
Boom. 3. I'm sorry.
3 things you can smell.
Mhm.
So you can maybe smell some mint gum, I can smell the perfume that I have on, if somebody cooking chicken next door, whatever you can smell. 2 things that you can taste. So what are 2 things that you can taste? Do you have some gum, some candy, and then, so you just do a countdown. You just focus on in the room, and there's other kind of grounding techniques, placing your feet flat on the floor, telling yourself, I'm in this room, no harm is coming to me, I'm good, nothing bad is gonna happen. Because when anxiety comes, you feel like the worst is gonna happen to you.
Mhm.
That's what anxiety feels like. You feel like death is upon you. And you have to combat that and say, death is not right here, no one is harming me, I'm in a safe place, I'm good, because it's like, you gotta distract your brain from going there.
And those techniques,
What
like I
about
said, the
breathing?
1, 2, 3,
Breathing.
5, those techniques are also offering that individual some action steps that also helps to get you
Yeah.
out of that thought process. For me, I've learned, and I learned this from another thing, Scientology actually, and they call it locationals,
Okay.
right? And you get up, you walk, you get up, you go outside, you touch the tree. Okay, this tree has brown, the leaves are green. You go, you touch the pole with the red stop sign
Those are
on
grounding
it. You know what I'm
techniques, the same
saying? We just call them locationals. You know what I'm saying? And you're just getting outside of one thought process. That thought process that has you reeling, paralyzed. Yes, and it works. It does. It really works if you give it the time to. But I think too, oftentimes the anxiety thing and people that suffer from that, and especially our people.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because anxiety is a mental health
It is.
issue, and people don't want to have those.
No.
They don't want to have those. And once you admit that you suffer from anxiety, then you're admitting that I suffer from a mental health issue.
Right.
And that is like
That's the
blowing
stigma.
your brains
But
out.
mental health, people have to get away that a mental health issue is not a reflection of you as a person.
But those early stigmas that started, Gigi,
That's
it's
what,
still, it bleeds through.
and we have to look at mental illness like we do cancer, diabetes. If somebody says they have diabetes, you don't think they're a bad person. If they say they have heart disease, you don't. So we have to get away that because you have this mental illness, that's an illness. It's not who you are as a person.
And it's not
your
a death
personality. It's not a
sentence.
death sentence. Exactly. It's just this is something that you have. It's not who you are.
It's a part of you, just like, people that's born with a big mole, a big, mole
Birthmark.
on birthmark on one side of their face, you know what I'm saying? Now, we find a lot of people that, suffer internally and mentally as a result of that spot, you know what I'm saying? But you can't change it. So if you suffer from anxiety, that's probably not something that you're gonna be able to change. However, you can manage it optimally.
Yes.
You really can.
And because the whole goal is to have a better quality of life.
Mhm.
I have anxiety, but how can I have it in a better quality of life? And that means you gotta do the work. You gotta use those interventions and those techniques that your therapist is telling you every single week in order for it to work. It's like a doctor telling you, okay, well, you have cancer, but you don't take the medication, you don't go for your chemotherapy, and you expect for there to be results. You have to do the work. And that means showing up for appointments. That means a therapist is only good as what their client tells them. So if you're not being real and honest with your therapist, then they can't help you.
And that's another thing too.
Yeah, you have to be open and honest. And a therapist has to be somebody that you can trust. If you meet with somebody as a therapist and you don't feel a vibe or a connection, I always tell my clients, you can switch, change at any time, because it's more about you getting the services that you need than it is with you sitting in front of me every week to make me feel good.
Oh, yeah.
So therapy is and whether you're employed, not employed, LA County Department of Mental Health offers free mental health services to everyone regardless of your immigration status, regardless if you have insurance, not insurance. Also too, if you have a place of employer, a lot of times you can get at least sometimes 3 to 8 services free from your EAP, or Employee Assistance Program. Talk to somebody. If you know that you have anxiety or you're feeling depressed, talk to somebody.
Okay, Leah, do you have any resource numbers for our listeners?
Yes, I have LA County Department of Mental Health has a 24-hour-a-day access, which I'm also a part of that emergency response team. You can call anytime to get mental health referrals if you're having a psychiatric emergency. That number is 1-800-854-7771. Once again, 1-800-854-7771. Someone is there 24 hours a day, weekends, holidays, they never close, because mental health is 24/7.
I have a question for you about the emergency response team
Yes.
that you're working with now, and just directly associated with the things that's been going on, these shootings and mass killings and stuff, right? Recognizing this in the young before these type of things happen. My question is, so are you guys called out only after something has happened, or are you guys, is this an ongoing type of assessment situation of these children? Is there somebody that's placed at the schools that work for this emergency response team, and they can kinda pick up on certain behaviors from different children and kinda, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
begin that intervention, if you
So
will.
we work in collaborations with K through 12 and higher education,
Mhm.
meaning that for schools that know about us, which our whole goal is to let everybody in Los Angeles County know about us, which is, this team has just recently expanded. Now we're gonna be in every spa in LA County, which is our service planning area, and there's 8 spas in Los Angeles County. So I'm gonna be in spa 6 and 8. So our whole goal is, if a kid makes a threat to a teacher, he threatens a student, we
Okay.
intervene. That is the goal, we intervene in. We don't wanna intervene once they brought a weapon to school. So it's really teaching teachers, staff, counselors, you know, if that kid is writing in English class, kids write a lot. They're writing in the class about how they wanna kill somebody, murder somebody, and that teacher is getting that assignment, we need to intervene. Because we're learning that all you can do is manage the threat. We follow that kid. Once everything is, we figure out what's going on and figure out their level of threat, we just don't let them go. We follow them all the way up till they go to college and continue. Some kids have been followed 5-6 years from now. Because you wanna manage the threat, because and if that kid pops up on the radar again, boom, we already know this is what happened with them. And we keep in contact with their therapist, whatever plan of action they have, we keep in contact. We tell that therapist, once they're connected, okay, if this kid threatens somebody, you call us, you let us know so we can intervene. Sometimes alert law enforcement. In some cases, we've had to work with the FBI.
Sure.
So this is very serious because no one wants, you know, every time something happens as a mass shooting, everybody knew the kid was a problem, but nobody said anything.
Right.
And
What
we-
about the assessment tool? Are you guys utilizing what we already have available to us once you get these children, and in order to assess an immediate threat or crisis right now?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
so we have tools that we use to determine if they're levels 1, 2, or 3 of a threat. Is this a plan that they have?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have, is this an immediate threat, like they have a date and a time, they have the means and the resources? So in assessing, we look at a variety of factors. We look at their socioeconomic status.
Sure.
We look at life stressors, how likely they are to carry out this threat.
Mhm.
We look at every factor. We talk to teachers. If they're in middle school, we go back to elementary school, we go back to preschool. We talk to everybody to get a full picture of who is this person? How do they handle stress? Do they normally handle stress good? Do they handle it in a negative way? So we look at everything so that we determine the level of risk and then we manage the threat.
Cause, this whole, this phenomenon that we have going on now with our babies killing themselves because they're being bullied.
Yes.
You know, I often say, like, I'm almost ready to stop going on Facebook because either somebody done raped a 6-month-old child to death, or another child has committed suicide because the kids were bullying them in school. And the parents of the child that has been bullied, they're fully aware, they've reached out, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like.
So I talked about that with Jackie. So if a kid is being bullied, that is, start team, send us a referral. We want to figure out why this kid is being bullied, who's bullying them. Is it one person, is it 2 person? But also too, there's different kind of schools. There's closed schools and open schools. A closed school is what you just described. A student or a parent has said, hey, my kid is being bullied, the school turns their eye. They have nothing in place to deal with it. An open school system, they deal with it, they address it, they acknowledge it, they come up with a plan. Schools who are closed, who don't address issues, are likely to have something happen at their school.
Cause the mommy in me says the bully needs to be having their ass kicked out of school.
Right.
Because the mommy in me is coming after that bully.
But you also have to
know.
realize too, when kids are kicked out of school, expelled,
I know.
that even increases the risk of them having an issue at school, because now the only thing they have left, you're gonna kick them out of, so.
I know. Now, the mental health care provider in me is really aware of
Right.
all of those, dynamics, but it's
Because-
just, it's kinda like with that particular situation in particular, we're kinda like in a catch-22. your hands are tied, and like you're saying about the closed schools, if we have the closed schools, then this is not being addressed, and
Mhm.
especially if it's something that's going on, like once the kid gets out of school and
Right.
they're walking home and this and that, you know, so like,
Social media.
what,
Mhm.
and that's a whole
That's
nother
another big
beast
animal outside of what we went through.
that
Yeah.
these kids are having to deal with, and they're just
Yeah.
taking their lives. And I mean, now, this is something that here recently has just been on the rise, the numbers of our black children that are taking their
As young
lives.
as 9 years old.
And that's just unacceptable to me.
And so just imagine you get bullied every day and you're telling in school, or you may not be telling in school, or there's a culture of bullying. This is what happens at school. You take
Forget
matters
that.
into your own hands.
Hey,
Either you kill yourself, or you come to
Kill or be
or you
killed.
come to school with a gun or knife, and you handle it your own way.
we have Miss Chris Fisher who has joined us here in
Hello.
the studio.
Yes.
The Poetry of Justice Show with Jackie Ray Phillips. Guys, I'm gonna just intersect a little bit and just throw that caveat out there, guys. Did you guys get a chance to check out Beacon Radio last night? Did you guys get a chance to listen to
Absolutely.
Let's Give Them Something to Talk About?
Yeah.
So what did you guys think about that? You didn't get to listen to a
You
little
were
while,
the bomb. Well, and Diablo, you're the bomb too.
It was
It was
very
awesome.
active.
Did you get to see
It was
Chris?
funny, yeah.
You
I
heard,
heard
it,
it,
you
yeah,
heard it,
yeah.
Chris. Okay, so I just wanted to shout out everybody that on Friday
was
nights,
good.
yours truly has joined a collaboration with Phil Diablo Morris, who is the owner of Beacon Radio Network. And so I'm honored and blessed to be a part of that team and family. And so we aired our little collaboration last night, and it's the name of our show is Something to Talk About with Dr. Phil.
He likes the hell out
And
of
Ja-
it. He does. It's just all over his face.
and Jackie Ray Phillips. So I don't know what's gonna happen, you guys. It was a fun time. So
was good.
when you get a chance, guys, Friday nights, 6 o'clock, like clockwork on BeaconRadio.com. BeakonRadio.com. So Miss Chris Fisher, tonight we are talking about Mrs. Chris Fisher. Is back in the house, and I'm so honored to have you here. Bless you and thank you.
Hi, God bless you. Thank you for
Okay, so
having me.
we're gonna put two mics together, but look, tonight we're talking about mental health. Did you wanna introduce your show, what we're gonna do? We're gonna be doing a show coming up regarding what, Chris? Tell us.
Well, it'll be about dementia and Alzheimer's. They say
Why
it's
did
two
you wanna
different
do
things.
that?
They say it's two different things, but you know, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
Well, you know, my mom, I'm not claiming that for her, but there's some signs and things that we see what's going on. But I know that's what the medical field calls it, but we call it, my sister and I, we just say, you know what, there's a glitch in her system somewhere. She's
That's right.
she's deficient of
Amen.
something,
Amen.
because I'm a Bible person, and I go
Amen.
by the Bible, and I say, you know what, Jesus said he finished, you are healed. Every day I
Amen.
have to pray with my mom and tell her, you know.
Amen.
So it'll be something to talk about.
So,
I like that. There's a
Yeah.
glitch in this. Mama, you're a little glitchy today.
yeah.
And I say that, I'll be like, uh-oh, there's a glitch coming on. Look at you, come on, lady, you know, and she'll look at me like, okay, you need to stop it. She still have her sense, you know, and she'll wake up and she'll say, and I'm laughing so hard, you know, and then my sister, I tell her, you know what, I call her, my mom acting up, mama got a glitch going on, you need to talk to her right now.
And she'll respond for you, Chris?
Yeah,
Yes, she
she'll,
do.
you know, she'll stop and say, okay, you know, and she'll tell me, okay, cause she's such a sweet, she's so sweet. She's still, I still call her country. I don't call her hillbilly, cause she don't act silly, you know, but I do tell her, Mom, you still country. You know, like my daddy brought her down here when she was like 17 or something like that. So she'd been in the city all her life and only been with him, so it's like, you didn't really, she's still so, to me, so innocent.
Protected. Yeah.
You know, she's still so innocent, even though she's like 83, but still, you know.
Well, that even is more protective. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because that's everything she knows.
Yeah.
You know. But we're talking tonight, Chris, about mental illness, mental health, and we're talking a little bit about the stigmas and mental health with regard to healing and treatment and spirituality. We all, of course, we have that, on our docket and on the table, but, you know what, I'm gonna share this. And so this is a piece from The Poetess Reigns, a collection of poetic art. You all may or may not know, but that's my book. Anywho, this was published back in 2013. And so this is The Poetess Reigns is an autobiographical poetic journey ranging from spirituality to raw, authentic, gut-wrenching experiences of life's pains, addictions, oppressions, and transformations. The Poetess Reigns is so much more than a book of poetry. It is an open and honest account of the author's struggles and perseverance through her love of God by faith. And that is me, everybody. That is yours truly. And mental illness is real.
Yeah.
And it's personal to me because I've been one of those. And I'm not claiming it anymore, Chris. Because it's gone,
Amen.
right?
Yes, amen.
But I had, H-A-D, had,
Amen.
because I'm not gonna claim that no more because I'm with you, Chris. God told me that we even have the power to heal ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
So I rebuke anything in the name of Jesus, and it is under my feet, and that's that. But before that, I still knew that I had to quest for God. Something of a higher power, in my, if you will, in my journey, had to be the catalyst to get me out of the snake pit, right? But while I was in the snake pit, I didn't write this in the snake pit. I wrote this at home in my mother's house. But it's an experience that I witnessed in the snake pit. The name of this piece is called Asylum. Sickness in the brain, emotions uncontained, screams of despair. The blood splatter was everywhere. Cries for help. Nobody cares. Where was the nurse? Her daily routine, like a warden well aware. Gasping chokes. Catching your air. Games in the day room. Head cut with tears. Like a prisoner upset in the distance stares. Structure serene, like the snake pit. Lobotomy awaiting. Who really even gives a shit? Suffocation is freedom. Liberation from the nest. Asylum was my ultimate test. The Poetess Reigns. But I remember when I was told that the emotions and physical body things I was experiencing, because I just knew I had a heart attack of some sort. And but unbeknownst to me, after I was in the emergency room and testing, they come back and tell me nothing's wrong. I'm like, no. So then that's when they said, well, maybe, this is a mental. And you hear that, you're like, what? Well, I was like, what? No, what? Scared. Even more scared. On top of the fear that had me in the situation in the first place. Having to make the decision to submit to needing help bigger than, I just think it's just my heart or an EKG can fix, or whatever. Being in an ambulance, going there, where am I going? Who's gonna be with my children? Where am I going? Where are they taking me? And you get there, and you check in, and they take everything from you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what did I do wrong? Okay? So, it was just we're gonna go through series of all of this throughout time, if that's the permission of the Lord. But I need my listeners to understand that when I come in here, I'm not just coming to be on Yikes Radio. I'm not just coming here. I come here because this is my heart. This is my soul. This is my life. This is what I'm doing. And I probably never would have done this if my mom was still here, because I don't know what she would have thought. But I know she's in heaven, and I know she sees me. And I believe that she's fueling me with the comfort and the strength to share my real story, because people will see that God is real. I have a testimony that is massive, and so many people are going to learn so many things as I continue to share, and we collectively will heal our sick people. And I know it's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and I know it's a lot. We have to save our own on the side of our people. And we have to reach, because God told me before I wrote this book, he said, feed my sheep. And that calling at that time was for my mother, for me to dedicate to help. He'll help her healing. And we did that. I could lay hands on my mama and she'd be good. That beast came later, the cancer. And then that's what it took her away. And that was paralyzing and debilitating to me, because it was like that power was bigger, I felt like, at that time. But I just know that it was time for her to transition, and that was just the way the transition occurred. And she was a very powerful woman, and that was the test of time for our entire family. And I know this goes on to other people, but it took me, I've been on air now 3 years, I've been on Yikes 2 years, and it's taken me just this long to open up. I had a conversation with a beautiful young man who is sitting in front of me, Mr. Emmett McGee, and he knows I refer to this quite often, but I think it was about a year or a year and a half ago, and he and I, maybe about a year now, right, E? And we had a real heart-to-heart. I call it that player to player, pimp to pimp, toe to toe, 10 toes down, nigga what? Boom. That was he and I, right? OG Compton style.
OG Compton, hey, that's a fact.
And he's like, you gotta tell people.
You have to.
You gotta tell people. You look at you and look at what you gotta tell people. Then you, free Ross. Do you even know
I just pray that is so. Yeah.
what you mean to me? Because I went too far, guys. And when I realized I had gone too far, and you don't know how to get back, right? And this beautiful soul, who I've known since I was 3,
Right.
I've seen her story. I've watched her story on Facebook and everything. And I didn't want to go to the doctor because I didn't trust them anymore.
Right.
After what happened with my mom and how her diagnosis was grossly overlooked.
Right.
But okay. I didn't trust them, and I still don't quite. And
That's a whole nother show about how African American.
because I've been there, and I'm like, I'm not going there
Medical
again.
system. Yeah.
Because what are you gonna do? Just push some fucking medicines on people?
Yep.
And I get it. Been there, done that. Pop the pill. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Right. So I reached out to this woman of God, a warrior, a healer, a comforter, and a friend. And I reached out to her, and I told her my situation, and without fail, bail, hell, or jail, she helped me. She taught me, and she coached me through, at this age, the most difficult time of my life. And she was the most confident woman. And she said, any time of the day right now you call me, and she told me what my body was gonna do. She was able to tell me that it's normal for these things to happen. She was able to tell me about all the ugly stuff that was coming out of my body when I began to heal from the tragedy of what happened to our mother. She'd tell me, okay, that's normal. And she'd keep continue to tell me to do the work
You gotta do the work. The
and
work
to
is
not
everything.
judge yourself.
Yep. Because sometimes we can be our hardest critics. Sometimes we beat ourselves down to the point where it's just like, it makes it impossible.
But I know God is real, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes,
because
he
I tell
is.
you right now,
Yes, he is.
where if it were not, I'd be dead.
And
I was
you know
supposed to be
what?
killed a long freaking time ago.
The miracle in your story is that you did know what to do. Girl, you gonna make me
No, we can't.
we can't do this on yikes.
Yes.
Yes, we can. But you know, you did know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
But you know, I feel
you-
this time, Frida, I did it on my own. I didn't go running.
Oh no.
Because at the end of the day, I'd have been there, done that, and that's by nothing else. My prophecy tonight is to tell people you gotta get into something bigger than yourself. And I know we got people from around the world listening to us. Shout out to Loxley Powell, Frida Ross. You see him on Facebook from London.
All the time.
This is my dude. This is my buddy. So we got the UK in the joint, but
Yes, across the pond.
it's we got to try and get people into a higher power, into a bigger source, and for us to get outside of ourselves and know that something bigger is available to us. And we talk about the resources. You gave out the number for the Mental Health Foundation, but I want to give out the number to a higher power. I want to give out the number to my King Jesus. And he says if you call on his name, right, he is there. He says that if 2, 3 or more together, he is in the midst. So that tells me right now that he's already here with us in this room right now. That's my belief, and I got this mic, and I know that I am just busting out there today, but that's just what God is telling me to do, and that's just the way I am.
But now, and me too, right? I don't know who else to call on.
Right.
Thank you.
He always
But,
answers, he's always available.
We do have those that, you know, maybe of an agnostic temperament. We have those that they just don't know. We have those who feel today that God has failed them, and they just don't want no parts of Him right
That's true.
now.
I know.
And so what we say to those is, don't let that stop you from doing the work that needs to be done. You can worship a picture on the wall that looks like George Jefferson. Whatever keeps you. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Because I guarantee you, and I've told you this, the work is designed to get you there, to that God of your own understanding.
Right.
That's what the work is designed to do. Because ultimately, without Him, it's not gonna be possible. But if right now today you don't believe in the shit that we telling you, that's okay too.
Absolutely.
We got you.
But I know.
Yeah.
I know who
Yeah.
I serve. There's somebody on this.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
this is healing somebody.
Bad, yes.
I know it.
Yeah.
And praise
And
be to
that's
God.
what it's about. And that's the reason why from day one I have been more than willing to support you
Yes.
in this.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
You know, because I know that it's gonna be a tool and a platform to get information out to those who otherwise would not be able to get it. Or they might have the information, but just because they can hear stuff coming from you and you and me, you know, they like, oh wow.
We
You
have
mean
to
to tell
normalize
me
it. We have to
they
keep this
feeling
apart.
that?
We have to normalize it. We have to talk about it because it's happening. There's no longer that, we have to get it out of that culture of, we see it, but we don't see it.
Or what
You know,
happens in this
or
house stays in this house.
That right there,
That has killed us.
detrimental to our culture, our society, our well-being, generational sweeping stuff under the rug. And then when you start talking to family members, you realize, well, it happened to them, they had it. And then you look up and everybody been dealing with the same stuff in silence. And just imagine if somebody would have spoke out and it could have addressed and how powerful that could have been, as opposed to this has been detrimental to the family for 30 years, 40 years.
And how many times have you found out something about an individual who has been willing and open to share their stories, and you're like, I never would have thought that was happening to you. I've had people say it to me. I've said it and felt that way about other people. You know, you just seem like you just had it all together, and you've been going. You've had this experience as well. You know, and that's all to just reach out.
And how
Reach
hard
out.
is it to have to keep that front going?
The
That
mask.
wall,
The
the mask.
I think that causes even more psychosis. That deepens the throes of
Lady
the
Maisha
disease.
Cheney at Antioch Church of Long Beach, where I used to be a member, had hiding behind the lipstick. And it's like, no matter what happens, you put on your lipstick and you
And
go
it's
outside,
all right.
and you look good on the outside, but in the inside dealing with depression, anxiety, you're in a bad relationship, you know, your kids do you wrong, but hey, to everybody else, I got on this nice bag, I got my hair done, but I put on my lipstick, like nothing is wrong.
That armor
It
ain't
takes
strong.
so much to keep that front going. It takes so much
Yeah.
to live. It's like you living a double life, and then everybody looking at you like, "Oh, you going through this?"
And like I said, that's our armor. That was
Yeah.
my armor. Baby, let me tell you, couldn't nobody put this makeup on and put on some heels as best I could. And I was sick unto death on the inside. You know what I'm saying? I was dying a spiritual death. You know, today I say I'd rather just die.
Yeah.
You know, than to walk around here and have to keep up that facade and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And like I said, that armor, that particular armor right there, you can wash it away with water.
And you know, we have choices, right? Because God gave us a choice. And so with those choices, you know, the devil can't really, that spirit of negative might be there, but he can't touch you. But he do want to steal your destiny.
Oh, for sure.
So what he do is put suggestions.
Derails the path.
He puts the suggestions in your mind, and the only thing you can do is that thought comes into your head, and what do you do now? You entertain it. Like I was listening to you all on my way here, and I heard you saying, do something to get that thought. You got to cut it quick. You know, sometimes, I mean, I don't have no mental issue, but I have chatter in my head a lot, you know, because I'm so busy, want to do this or want to do that, you know. And right away, I was listening to Creflo Dollar, 6 o'clock in the morning. He is on it, and I tell you, he said, he did this little thing where he told everybody, say this, say this, say this. He said, now I'm gonna say this, and you say it with me. What happened? You stopped thinking about what you was thinking about right then and there. So I said, you know what, I just started praising God as soon as something come into my mind, you know. But the choice, the devil is always trying to give you a suggestion. You can't pick your hand up and make you do this or make your mouth say that.
Right.
He can suggest something so that you can change directions from your path, you know. But we all have to learn. It's daily.
Yes.
A daily thing that we all have to learn. Me, you, we
Maintenance.
all. We are our brother's keepers. And if nobody don't know, you can't tell everybody, because some people just talk too much sometimes.
Yeah.
So
That's
you really have to
right.
know inside who you really can trust
Yes.
to tell the issue you're having, to be able to have that where 2 or 3 are gathered,
Right.
you know, where
Yeah.
he's in the midst, so that they will know, you know. But
Checking in on people. Sometimes we ask, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. No, how you really doing? Let's get down and dirty, because we have to check in on each other, because, and not just when a situation or something has occurred, but check on the people on a regular basis, like, how's everything at work? How's everything with your kids? How's everything at school? Whatever they're doing, check in on people, because a lot of times, you know, I think of Robin Williams, you know, comedian, outgoing, and then Kate Spade. All of this success. And you know, she suffered with, she was bipolar.
Yes.
And bipolar is a combination of anxiety and depression, extreme highs
And
and
dastardly
low
lows.
lows. And you would think it doesn't matter if you have money, if you don't have money. You know, some of the people that we, you know, with Robert Williams and Kate Spade still end up committing suicide. So check in on your strong ones. Checking in on people and just say, hey, how's it going? Is it, you know, you want, let's talk, and not just checking in on a Facebook post and a text message, of saying, hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Yeah.
Because we never, with social media, it creates a barrier to have that open dialogue, to really figure out what's going on people. And then some people, they just, sometimes just to sit and just be there. That goes a long ways, just to say, you know what, we just gonna come and sit. We ain't gotta talk. Just to have somebody just physically there with you, it's just a different type of support as opposed to a like on a Facebook status or a comment on a Snapchat or a like on an Instagram post. Like, no, say, let's meet up. Let's do something, because support goes a long ways.
Galia, we've given a lot of information tonight and we've shared a great deal. But could you also, again, provide information to our listeners, resources where people can go who are suffering?
So resources, if you are in LA County, you can go through LA County Department of Mental Health, their 24 hours a day access line. It's 1-800-854-7771. Someone will be on the phone to help assess and get you the right plan of action. If that means responding with an emergency situation or referring you for mental health service counseling, they can do that. Another resource is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It is 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255. And their website is suicidepreventionlifeline.org. And even if you just Google just different mental health suicides, there are some that are available via text, where you can talk to someone and get the support that you need, whatever the way you like to communicate. There are very different avenues, but LA County has a great comprehensive mental health service access that is available to any and everybody, regardless of your immigration status, regardless if you're insured, not insured. They will help and get you to the appropriate resources 24 hours a day, including weekends and holidays. They are never closed.
Galia, are there services similar to that in other counties as well? I know we may not have the intel, but
Yeah, there
generally-
are. Definitely Riverside County, San Bernardino, Orange County has these same resources. Every state and system has their own different setup of resources, but LA is just very comprehensive and very integral in the things that they're doing as opposed to other places.
Yes. So, you've been a little quiet with us, Aaliyah. What do you think about what we're doing right now? What are your thoughts?
You know, I'm not being quiet intentionally. I'll be listening and I don't want to cut nobody off.
It's your time.
I think it's amazing. Everybody's saying stuff about social media, and I think for me, social media has been like key in me learning about mental health.
Okay.
Like you said, in the Black community, there is a way that we sweep things under the rug. You're crazy, we don't talk about it, sit you outside.
With
and
a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Cross
Yeah.
your legs.
Might send the dog out there with you.
Yes.
And mental health is close to me because my brother is mentally ill. My brother is 17, but he's definitely not a normal 17-year-old. And I think looking at his mental health journey and mine as well, I think he's taught me a lot about it, taught me a lot about myself. But in terms of just information on where to look for what's wrong or how to get help, social media has been my go-to.
Wow.
Because it's, I mean, you can't sweep it under the rug there. You know what I mean? And then when you get those things, you get that proof and you bring it back to whoever it is that doesn't believe that there's not a problem, right? You know, and then you start to look not crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have somewhere to cite it now. And for people who have been going through mental health before the internet was a thing, or before social media was a big thing,
Right.
I feel for them because
What did you do?
what did you do?
Yeah, on every Monday, I started, in the month of May, I started Mental Health Monday. So every Monday, I post something up about mental health. And, was it last week I posted about how to recognize anxiety in yourself and others, and I posted this. I know you guys on the radio can't see it, but I posted this, and it's some of the things were constant worrying, procrastination, rapid heartbeat, insomnia, stomach issues, panic attacks. And so many people were like, thanks, now I know what it is.
Yeah.
And I told people, inbox me with questions if you feel like, and I was able to answer people's questions, direct them in the right path. So every Monday I'm posting something up on mental health because Mental Health Monday.
You gotta get your mind ready to go back to work sometimes.
Right, and then this is
And
my
you
other
gotta
favorite
open
one too. It's a little
conversation.
jar and it says, "Don't spread yourself too thin." Because a lot of times we take on all these different things and we say yes, yes, yes to everybody. We say no. When you say yes to somebody else, sometimes you say no to yourself. And I'm the big queen on self-care, and I posted the types of self-care. There's physical, emotional, social, and spiritual. So because we're a whole person. We're not just spiritual beings. We're physical. We have emotions. Social. So an example of a physical type of self-care is sleep. And I'm the queen of self-care. That's food, okay? Because yes, I love to go to the nail shop and get my nails and my pedicure done. But you know what? A lot of the clients I work with, they don't have those kind of resources to do that on a regular basis. It's hard, even if you work every day, it's hard to just keep that regimen up. So taking a nap is a form of self-care. Eating healthy and eating period is a form of self-care. Stretching, going on a walk, that's self-care. These are all things you can do for free. Emotional self-care, stress management, forgiveness, compassion, kindness. Stop being mean to people. Say, I like your shirt. Something, and then social, boundaries. Boundaries are huge because you gotta have boundaries in every aspect of your life. You have boundaries with your coworkers, boundaries with your boss, boundaries with your kids. Boundaries are everything. And then positive social media. You got people that's being negative, unfollow them. Stop looking at the foolery. Stop getting triggered by what you see on social media. Because I'm quick. If you posting some foolish stuff, I will unfriend you, unfollow you, and just keep on moving in life because I need to see positivity. I don't want to see. I hate when people repost fights or repost people dying. Like, let's not do that.
That's a big thing. That's a really, really important thing for you. All the millennials, listen up. That is huge.
Stop reposting mess.
Yeah.
You done shared it 30,000 times.
Well, just following people that are in line with you.
Yeah.
Following people who do what you do, have similar viewpoints to you.
Right.
Because social media can turn into a trash bin.
Yes.
And that takes a toll on you too.
And then you on social media for hours and you be like, oh, look at them, look at their life. And I'm just sitting over here on my couch. Oh, she done had another baby. Oh, and it triggers you and makes you mad. And you look up and you comparing yourself to everybody else, and it just keeps you in a deeper hole. Also, too, a spiritual form of self-care is time alone. Believe it or not, I have a 3-year-old. I have a 3-year-old. I be like, who wanna? I just want 2
Look,
hours.
her voice
I just
got
wanna
deep.
take a nap. Like, who wants? So shout out to her mom who has it right now. Shout out to her because the rock is coming to the show.
Good.
Yoga, nature, journaling, sacred space. Creating a sacred space. You can create a sacred space in your house. It can be a prayer closet. It can be,
It's in my bathtub.
yeah. It can be some candles.
With all that.
I have this little table that's by my window, and I get up in the morning, and I light my candle, and I have my coffee and my tea, and I just sit in my window. I'm like, yes, he's still asleep. Don't let his little feet hit the ground. 30 minutes, Jesus, let's do it. So all of these things are forms of self-care. Also, 50 ways to take a break. Going outside, being in nature, self-care. You have to do self-care to preserve yourself. You can't just always keep running yourself low. And doing this for 10,000 people, but then sometimes you find you get mad at yourself. I don't even have time for my own self.
True.
You got to put your own self first, your own self-care. So there are different ways, and I even have a self-care agreement with myself. And it's a little chart that's on by my desk, and I have these things that I'm gonna do during the month of May. And it's gonna walk twice a week. It's gonna be taking a nap. If I take a nap today before the show, it felt like naps are everything.
They are.
They take naps. We get to elementary school, they stop, doing naps right now. My son won't nap at preschool. I'm like, you're gonna regret this later.
Right.
We done all been at work and took a nap in the car. I'm known for taking a nap at my old job. They would commend me. They were like, you can just take a nap at your desk. I put my headphones on, just be back in the chair 20 minutes out. 20-minute naps can make you feel, you get that burst of energy. It's better than a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Power.
I couldn't pull that off. If I go to sleep, I'm gone.
You're done. You gotta limit it to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Max 30.
I can't do that.
Once you get past 30, you're not getting
It's a
up.
wrap.
But self-care is everything, because if you are in a stressful situation, like, this new job that I have is stressful, I have to do self-care. I can't just work, and not have something I enjoy. Self-care is going out with your friends, connecting with people. Self-care is going to the movies. Self-care is getting outside, you know, going, if you living in a great neighborhood, go to Griffith Park, a local park, by the beach, the water. We live in LA, we have access to several beaches. Sit at the beach and just sit there. Sometimes you can just sit in the parking lot and just pull up and like, I'm just gonna listen to the ocean.
Just do
But
you.
Gigi, I hear that, I respect it. What about when we talked about our underserved communities? We were talked about
Yes.
Jordantown. Where we gonna go?
That is a hard one because
Right.
you gotta find, self-care can be baking cookies with your kids.
Okay.
It could be game night,
creative
Friday
ways.
night game night. You know, me and Carter, we have pizza payday Fridays. On
Okay.
those days that we get paid, sometimes we order pizzas. Pizza
Right.
payday, it's Friday, we got paid, we can order that $7.99 special from Domino's.
Mhm.
You know, having game nights.
Okay, good.
Self-care is just a time when you can just disconnect.
And
to
it's all about you.
And it's all about you to reconnect. And if you have kids, you know, sometimes you can't have as much time as you can, but you still need that alone time. So if that means you gotta get up an extra hour early than everybody else, so you can just sit in the living room by yourself,
Yeah.
which I'm a huge fan of. You can stay up late. Sometimes I'll stay up till 11, 12 o'clock just because I have those good 2 hours by myself while he sleep. So you have to do what works for you. If you like candles, if you do bubble baths,
Yep.
that's what sometimes you gotta do stuff at home. Planting
Okay.
is your thing. If you like plants, or if you like collecting stuff, or being part of groups that, if you like cooking, join a cooking club. I'm always down for the free app called Meetup. You know,
Oh, say that again.
it's called Meetup.
Okay.
And so there's a free app, it has you indicate things that you're interested in, and then it'll show you groups and things that are going on. You can meet new people. If you like a knitting group, there's a meetup group for knitting, for any and everything.
Chris, how do you do self-care when you know, in your life, and particularly working with your mom? How do you and your sister do self-care?
You know what, there's, there's 8 of us,
Mhm.
and only, let me see, well, my sister passed, but, out of 7 of us, only 2 of us, her and I, we do we kinda do the work. And that's something when you have siblings that, you know, they just have no clue and won't even try because they're already all about themselves, so they don't want that pressure, or they don't want that responsibility, and it is overwhelming sometimes, you
Being
know.
a caregiver for
Yeah,
an elderly
oh my
person.
God.
Cause
It's a lot.
for me, my sister's retired, but she's there in the daytime, but I go to work in the daytime, and I'm there in the evening time, you know, I still have a husband at home, you know, so I still have to do all the house stuff as well, I don't
Preach,
cook, he
preach,
cooks.
preach.
He
That's
does the
great.
cooking, but you know,
Shout out
sometimes
for
I
Benny.
cook.
Yay!
Shout out.
Hey, Petey Fisher!
But I like to plant, you know, like,
Okay.
right now I'm trying to grow me an avocado tree, a Haas avocado tree.
Yeah,
growing
Oh.
cheap girl, so I can come
So I
collect.
just did that. I love to plant things, and I have a green hands, you know.
All right.
And so planting, I like DIY, you know, especially in housing and construction, you know. So that's my long term is to be, I'm gonna have my own property stuff, you know.
Yes.
Commercial, you know. So
Absolutely.
I'm already looking into, cause I just like to see how to build and how to, you know,
How it
'cause I have
comes
project
together.
management already, so I'm getting into that. It just, I don't know, it soothes me to see construction and tools, and, you know, I have so many tools, and I told my husband, you know, when we get a house, I'm gonna give me a saw table, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get.
That sounds like work.
I just
HGTV,
like the way
watch
that
out, she
looks,
might be
you
getting her
know.
own show.
Mrs. Fisher.
I already got my vision board, so I see
Boom.
it.
That's right, Mom.
I already see all my properties.
Amen.
But properties to help, you know,
Yes.
those who, cause even when you say Jordan Downs, I look at that as why society, and it's not really
Right.
society, it's the they in the Bible, the they that we don't see,
Mm.
that's wanna keep those people in bondage
Yes.
when they don't have to be, but they don't know because they have those scales in their eyes, you know, so I wanna be able to have property where it looks nice and it's decent, because
Yeah.
where you are,
Matters.
it matters,
Shapes
but
you.
also you
It
feel.
affects you, it affects
Yeah.
your
Feel,
mood.
so if your place look like that, then you're gonna be, you're not encouraged
Environment
to,
is everything.
you know,
Environment is everything. Where
And
you
then the
live, what
rents-
you see, it changes,
I'm telling
you know, your scope.
and the rent is so high, you
Mm.
know,
Yes.
it's gonna be where God's gonna bless me to where he He's already blessed me, but I am going from glory to glory to make
Hallelujah.
that manifestation come here to where people don't have to pay as much, but they still got the best.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
So that's, you know, that's what,
Mhm.
that's
I
what I think.
love that. Amen. Thank you so
That's
much, Mrs.
awesome.
Fisher. How do you do your self-care, Miss Ross, particularly in the type of line of work that you do?
I take bubble baths. When I tell
That's
you
yours.
I can get in the tub and I can stay there, water turn cold, and I can run hot water in it again. About an hour
Yes.
later, I can do it again.
Yes.
Burn candles.
Whitley, get ready.
And you know, I rest. People don't they don't recognize the value in rest. I didn't until after I got sick
Even Jesus
and
rested
had the
on.
heart attack, right? Because I worked, I'm telling you, I would work 16, 17 hours a day in this field.
Oh, Lord. have
And
mercy.
I did it. I did it around the clock. And after I got sick, that's one thing that I said to myself, I'm not doing this anymore. I refuse to do it. And I had kind of went back to the same organization I was working with, and I was doing it. But I think I was saying that I was doing it because there was this great need. It wasn't, I was doing it when I wanted to do it,
Right.
but it was still, you know what I'm saying, it was just too much. And so now I just don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? I take the time out to do me.
Yeah, from past experience and jobs, I created boundaries at work. Which means I'm gonna work from this time to that time. I'm not taking this home because
Oh, honey.
if
let
you
me
take
tell
it
you.
home, then it runs over into different areas of your life and you never turn it off.
That's all I
So
do.
you have to have boundaries, but boundaries are a form of self-care.
Mhm.
Because if you say, I'm gonna deal with this from this time to that time, then the rest of the time is your time. You can't work 24 hours.
I
Right.
did.
You know?
I did. I really did. Didn't I? Was always at work.
Yeah.
Always at work. And it just, and then I just, came to the realization that, hell, if I stop breathing today, my position is filled last night.
Oh,
Yeah.
basically.
You know what I'm
Easy
saying?
replacement, Yep.
And I
The stuff that's sitting there today, so it'll be there tomorrow.
yeah, so I don't do it. Now my work ethic has not changed at all. I just do that kind of work within my time frame that I'm
New
there. I don't
boundary.
do that anymore. Yeah, I just don't, I don't know, and I'm a homebody, cleaning. Some people don't
Cleaning
think
is
that that's,
definitely a form of self-care.
let me
And
tell you
exercise.
something.
Nothing like cleaning when you're stressed out. You clean better.
Cooking and cleaning, that's my, look at her over there, she'll tell you, that's my
Every
thing, right? Like, it's just something real relaxing and special about waking up in the middle of the night and going and get a bottle of water, and I can see the vacuum cleaner lines in the carpet. Now that's my brand of crazy, you know what I'm saying? But really, it is, that's I love it. I love it, I do.
You smell the pine sol, nothing like pine sol or some fabuloso.
Remember, that was number 3, touch, feel, smell, right?
Yeah, touch those.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have the lovely Whitley Gonzalez,
Woo-woo.
of course. But tonight, Miss Whitley G is going to be on the mic again doing her little fancy debut. And so Whitley is helping us. We're going to talk about it. Of course, we're doing mental health. But Whitley, from your perspective, but let everybody know who you are. Your name, what school you go to, how old you are, and what you think about POJ and mental health.
Who are you?
My name is Whitley. I go to City Honors and I cheer for Inglewood. I'm 16. And mental health to me,
Yeah.
I looked some stuff up, but I said mental health relates to how someone thinks, feels, and behaves towards certain situations that are going on in life. I put good mental health being the ability to feel, express, and manage positive and negative emotions.
Yes,
Yes.
that is the key because life is gonna happen, but it's about how you deal with it.
And it's gonna be good and bad. Both of those energies are coming towards you. So that was a really good
Yeah.
thing to
Very
put out
good.
there.
And building resilience so that, because life is going to happen. It's not a matter of if, when, it's
Yes.
gonna happen. So how do you build a capacity to have resilience so that you can bounce back when stuff happens? Because it's gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest part of it. Thank you so much, Whitley. And that was an excellent, your interpretation is because remember we go back to what we learned at the start of the show, when we looked at the work by Dr. Nadine Burke, we talked about that adverse childhood experience study.
Yes.
So we got to save the babies. Didn't Marvin tell us that?
Mhm.
Save the children. We have to save the babies.
Yeah.
And information like what's being disseminated here in the Poetry of Justice show, beautiful young ladies like Miss Whitley G, Aaliyah, we've got and of course, we have Mr. Emmett
Right.
McGee. So my point is, we have a team of individuals and we have a diverse, right? Socially
Absolutely.
diverse
Age
topic.
group.
Elements
Yes.
here, right?
Male,
and so,
female, absolutely. And it matters because mental illness, mental health issues, substance abuse issues, PTSD, you know what I'm saying? We need to first of all, learn to be trauma informed,
Yes.
okay? Because every day, I guarantee you, in your daily duties, whatever it is that you do at work or when you get off, you are coming in contact with somebody who is suffering. You know what I'm saying? And we need to be well versed in this, become trauma informed because things have happened and it doesn't just happen to grown folks,
Right.
like you're saying. And that's why it's so good that you have the diversity that you have going on and the people that can, chime in and talk on this show because this is happening in every age group. I mean, I brought up something earlier and I said, like, I wanted to leave my Facebook page. We have 9-month-old children that are being raped,
this is horrifying. I'm like, what?
right?
I can't, my mind can't even.
I read a
Right, no.
Facebook thing, a little girl, she's like 10 or 11 years old right now. Right, she's been going to court, and I'm gonna put this out there. It was devastating to me. Like I was in tears, literally. But they asked her this question in court. Well, when he gets through with you, how do you know when it's over? Like how do you know when to stop doing? She's 10 or 11 years old, and he says to her because we're talking about what is the topic? The adverse childhood experiences. She says, I know that it's over when the white stuff comes out. So we have to be able to reach all ages, all socioeconomic statuses. We have to be able to reach all races.
Yes.
And that, you know what I'm saying? It is not a mental health issues and things that's going on now. It is not, exclusive,
Yeah, it doesn't discriminate.
No.
right? You know what
Mental
I'm
health
saying?
doesn't discriminate, cancer doesn't discriminate,
And then the thing about this too, this adverse childhood thing, I think you kind of touched on it, is that it's not only causing mental health issues in the children and later on in the adult life, it's causing physical health issues.
So let me just
Cancer,
say,
heart disease, it's insane.
So traumatic events that can have negative, lasting effects on health and well-being. So abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, household challenges, domestic violence, substance abuse, mental illness, parental separation, divorce, incarceration. We can just stop there and look at how many African Americans and Latinos are incarcerated. That's an adverse childhood experience. Neglect, emotional neglect, physical neglect. When this happens, when any of these things happen, 4 or more ACEs, you're 3 times the levels of lung disease in adult smoking.
That's
3
right.
times higher than the rest of everybody else. 14 times higher for the number of suicide attempts. 4.5 times more likely to develop depression. 11 times more likely to use intravenous drugs. 4 times as likely to have begun intercourse by the age of 15. 2 times the level of being of liver disease. And 67% of the population have at least 1 ACE.
And that's something.
So early adverse childhood experiences is leading to ultimately death. Death by drug use, death by suicide, death by liver issues, heart issues. It is trauma affects the body in ways. And this study was done where they followed the kids for 20 years and they saw what the result was. And it's like mind boggling. So it's like, what are we gonna do?
Is this still a part of that generational aftermath of the slavery impact possibly? Because we're
Yeah,
taking a look
definitely.
at what population of people are affected by this, the heart disease and the cancer and so on and so forth. So I beg to ask, could that still be a legacy of that
Definitely.
curse, if you will?
Every February, LA County Department of Mental Health puts on the African American Mental Health Conference. It's that last month, every February. I went this year and I was in awe. 1,200 people in attendance. The morning opened with African drummers. We had a little pastor during lunch, some praise dancers, and I went to a workshop on the effects of slavery in men. And it was mind-boggling. It was like, wow. So just imagine, just picture this. This is your wife, you're a slave, and you have to witness your wife get raped.
Or watching
Or
your
watch
husband
your
get
husband
fucking raped
Yeah.
by these nasty,
And they
sick
use-
people.
And they use that as a form to break the men.
Yeah, break the
Buck.
buck.
Yeah, break the buck. So
Ain't that some shit?
yeah, so trauma, rape, and a lot of women in slavery, when they had their children, a lot of them killed their
Killed the
children at
kids.
birth.
Exactly.
Because they didn't want them to grow up in a life of slavery.
Nope.
So just imagine, that went on for 400 years. It cannot be undone in 100 years.
Girl.
We're still healing from slavery. We are still healing from slavery.
And another thing too, you mentioned when you were reading the statistics, right? So if you have experienced one of those traumatic things, then you're so much percent more likely to be. But what about those of us, because you know, oftentimes we're experiencing in our population of people everything, substance abuse, divorce, hell, wasn't nobody never married.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sexual abuse. You got everything going on in
And
the
you look at how
household.
vulnerable it leaves you. It leaves you in a really vulnerable space. Like, if a mental health issue doesn't happen, then a heart disease issue comes up, or a liver
Something.
issue comes up, or I start using drugs. So we're just left very vulnerable.
Predisposed is an understatement, right?
Right, and they try to tell you, oh, it's the food that you eat. Well, why do we eat this way? We eat this
And I
way.
hate that, cause our forefathers, our them people lived to be 100 years old, and they ate chitlins,
Yeah.
they ate the pig, they
Head hog cheese.
yes, the hot kind. I love
Possums
it.
and sweet potatoes.
You like hog
No,
and cheese?
it ain't got
Well,
nothing
you
to
better
do
know
with
what you-
that.
What you talking about? What you talking about? Tell me, get on the mic.
Cheese.
What?
Man,
What you know about
The
hog and cheese?
the
What you
best
know?
hog head cheese in Compton is that
Miracle Market,
Oh,
my
shut
nigga.
up.
Oh!
They got chicken
Be
head
quiet.
cheese.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? That part right there. You know,
With some
well,
salt.
Okay, somebody
I
break
was
down
up
to
in- you don't know-
Let's break down. My
What?
mama talks. My mama eat head hog cheese, but I don't know what is head hog cheese.
hog head
Hog-head
cheese.
Hog
The
head
hog
cheese.
head.
It's the gristle,
Yeah.
it's
All
the, you know,
right.
they take the head of the.
It's really
the-
head in there.
Yes.
Is there
Hog
really cheese in there?
head.
They just call it cheese.
It
Because
ain't
it's
nothing.
how it's,
Oh,
it
It
ain't
ain't
how it's
nothing
packaged. Like,
pig that you can't
It's
eat.
blubbery.
Now I don't choose to eat it all, but I'm gonna eat some
I'm
chitlins.
saying.
I'm gonna eat the
you
hog
gonna get up? You
heads.
gonna do the chitlins?
I'm gonna do the chitlins. I'm gonna suck them up.
What you gonna put with your chitlins in?
I'm gonna suck them
I
up.
like hog maws. Personally.
Yeah, that's your
Okay.
very, that's your
What is
personal
hog maws?
They're a little thick.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about them. They're a
Yeah,
little thick.
yeah,
Mhm.
It's good. though. I
You
like
put some of
hog
the hog maws in your meat, you remember your
And I'll
chicken,
eat
your
the pig
beans?
feet if it's pickled. I don't like it boiled.
You like
Have you ever gone to the liquor store? You see
In
the
the
big old
jar,
pig
that's
in
the
jar?
one
With the
that
big
I
pig
like.
feet just sitting
Yeah.
there. Look at the baby
How do you,
face.
wait, how do you eat pig feet though?
Look, you
You
ever
just eat it, and you know
You ever
what?
had any hog head cheese?
You do a lot of.
That's true. Look at me like, what?
But, you know what? They thought that they were right. They thought that back in slavery and stuff, they felt like they were, you know, again doing something to, you know, against us, you know, making it where not, like we can't eat the pork chop. We couldn't have the pork chops and stuff like that. We only could have what they thought was
But they didn't want
the
it.
trash
Make
off
it
the.
into something
It
great.
is
Like
a
we always do.
delicacy, honey. Look.
Take something out of nothing.
And just
We are some awesome people. If we all only knew that.
Yeah.
We are. Now we took lemons and made lemonade.
there you go.
Yes, we did.
Boom.
Now it's the time we need to stop eating that stuff though.
I ain't doing it.
I think so. Like we have to
Remember
eat
style?
as slaves. We have to do what we have to do. But now we shouldn't be
Now we
eating that
have
stuff.
We really shouldn't.
I don't. It's great, but we shouldn't be eating it.
Not
Though.
all the time, have it, don't
No.
eat every day.
Listen, you
But what
guys.
about New Year's? New Year's.
Maybe one
Some
time.
chitlins,
Yeah,
you
one,
can't have
one
chitlins
day a year,
on
you know,
Listen.
but don't every Friday.
Listen, like I
Every
just said, that was the food that saw our forefathers and
Through.
mothers through. And they lived to be ripe old ages. And they were healthy people.
Mhm.
They were strong.
Yep.
Right.
That they found another way to kill us off when they seen that didn't work, giving us the trash. They done start injecting the meat and shit. That's what's causing
That's what's
the
happening now.
cancer
Exactly. That's why.
and all of that bad stuff. The pork and all that wasn't killing my great grandparents. Hell, that's how they was able to go out in them fields.
Yeah.
And pick
And
that
do
shit.
what they had to
16
do.
hours a day.
And
Right?
that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say about the food, that, you don't think so, but because your gut, which is in the Bible, that's your flesh, and it talks to you. So when you're putting stuff in, even if you're not putting it in through your mouth, believe me, they're doing something in this air for you to get in your body.
Yep.
Our body already have certain things in it. So if something triggers something in your body, including the water,
Yes.
because if you look at the water out here, if the water is dripping on a piece, them old cars, oh, you got a piece of rust thing right there. What do you think you drinking water with going in? It's a gas.
Yeah.
What is it doing inside your body?
And you're right. You
And that
100%
rust ain't nothing
correct.
but cancer.
They did,
Or
but
powder.
they did stuff. Because I can remember growing up in my time, it wasn't nothing to take the water hose, and the water was
Girl,
cold,
good and good.
and it was good coming
Yeah, because ain't
out.
nobody going in the
We
house
didn't
because if
know
you go in the
nothing
house, your
about
mama may not let you come
bottled
back
water.
out.
You gotta
We
sit
didn't
in
know
the house.
nothing
So you
about
just
bottled
drink out
water.
water hole.
And you
I
know
remember
your
that shit.
your gut is actually connected to your brain, and it was first before your brain. I researched, and they have. Do you know that the government have all this stuff, literally, scientifically out there, but nobody knows where to look? I couldn't believe I saw that.
Yeah.
That your gut was first, and then your brain. So that means they got all this corn syrup, all this sugar, all this stuff in foods, and we consume it, and it's affecting our brains, and we eat it.
And
Our
other
parents
countries
ate
have
it.
not used it anymore. Americans still use it. I think it's a form of population control.
Absolutely.
And also too, it feeds the healthcare system. We need to make people sick.
They all work
So now we
together.
keep getting paid, and we can charge $8,000 for the
For a
drug or something
pill.
that you need.
For a pill. Why did I just order my medication and I had to pay Kaiser? I paid like $137. The same medications that I've been ordering for the last 2 years up until this time, I was paying only like $67 for all of them. $140 some odd dollars, you know what I mean? But it's a lot. It's a lot, and people don't believe. I'm not really a big conspiracy theorist, you know what I mean? But there is some stuff that's just is,
Yep.
and there you just cannot deny. You know what I mean? That it is happening. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, even, and you can attribute a lot of the mental health care issues to things.
But
Look at
particularly if
that.
you talk about what
Has
you're saying,
been-
Chris, because if it's going into our gut and it's going to the, into the brain,
Yeah.
then those chemicals in and of itself is
It's
gonna cause
causing
that
different type of
imbalance.
reactions.
And the serotonin not working right,
Right.
and then
You can.
Prozac and Wellbutrin and all that shit.
I
There's
even
depleting
use
stuff.
the formulas and stuff for babies as an example.
Yes.
Do you know that, hell, I don't think I was on formula, Enfamil, Similac, none of that. They took canned milk, pet milk,
That milk back in the day.
and fed it to babies, and babies wasn't dying like they dying.
Don't forget the K-Rose syrup, though.
Please.
That was the
Boom.
worst. That was the worst
Right.
thing.
I don't
that
know.
we could have did was put
That's
Karo
what they did.
syrup.
Yeah.
We did not know nothing. I bought a bar.
Remember that?
One of my sons. He
Can
got no
the- the
issues,
newborn
but I
baby get
still have noticed
constipated?
Okay, so
that generation.
The newborn baby get constipated, you put
Oh
a
my
little bit of
gosh.
it on the nipple, and he gon' shit till times get better. He ain't gonna be stomach aching no more. But the stuff that kept us back in
Alive.
the day are the very things that they try and tell us is what is killing us now. Well, yeah, because you
Tainted.
manipulated
Mhm.
and done what you do to it, devil. You know what I mean?
And it's a
And,
trickle-down effect.
you know, we just have to we have to arm ourselves with knowledge.
Knowledge is everything.
You have to
Knowledge
arm
is
yourself
key.
with
It is
knowledge.
People are
empowered to
destroyed
a
for
lot.
the lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Well, thank goodness for the Poetry Justice Show with Jackie Ray Phillips on Yikes Radio. We have had a fabulous time tonight. We're about
Yes.
5 minutes into the outro. So I just want to go ahead and give another plug and shout out to Beacon Radio.
Yeah.
Beacon Radio Network, again, BeaconRadio.com, Beacon Radio Network, and that is Mr. Phil Diablo
What do you call him?
Morris.
What do you call him? Because he likes
Oh,
it.
yeah. Doctor.
Yeah.
But he's Dr. Feel Good on Something to Talk About, which airs Friday nights from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. with the collaboration of Dr. Feel Good and Jackie Ray Phillips. So guys, when you get a chance,
It was
tune in. It was a lot of fun. It was our pilot episode, and it was an amazing time. So you guys are gonna have a good time. So it's that Friday night get down. We figure it's that people getting off work. You kind of want to wind down.
Yes.
Whether you may be a commuter, because it specifically like from our wonderful, amazing sister. Sometimes she's commuting. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, okay, it's after work. People kind of chilling, getting their mind right. Am I gonna go to the club tonight? Am I gonna just kick it? Am I whining? Am I vape? What am I doing tonight? And in the midst of that, you can have some fun and see what these two people are talking about over there at Beacon Radio. So, good fun times with that. And then, of course, I want to give love, honor, and respect to homage to everyone here in the studio tonight. Thank you, Miss Galia Richmond,
Thank you. It's been a
Gigi,
pleasure.
for coming back. Aaliyah, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come down to the studio. You enjoy yourself when you come.
Always. You
Oh,
guys have
great.
great convo.
And then I want to give respect to Mrs. Fisher,
Thank
Mrs. Chris
you.
Fisher, for being with us
Bless
tonight.
you.
You know, and of course Free Ross and E and
I'm the fly on the
Whitley
wall.
G. No, because it's gonna go through my
Here.
time. I go through that moment about time, right? And I always say, Freddie, you know what I like to say? Time is we know we can never get back.
Yeah.
You can maybe get back friends, you can get back money, you can get back your eyeglasses that I lost somewhere yesterday. You can get those things back, right? But your time, we can never get back.
Yeah.
So that's why I respect and appreciate everyone. Our listeners, our viewers, we got our YouTube going. We just got great stuff, life in abundance to the full, to the overflow. And we're just thankful and we're having a good time. And I thank everybody for tuning in. So I just wanted to say
6
that.
o'clock to 7
Gigi,
o'clock.
do you have any parting
Was that
words
me?
that you want to share?
I just want to say that mental health is everything, and it's that checkup from the chin up.
Okay.
Check in with people, and mental health it's a whole person. It's not just it's a spiritual, emotional, physical. It's everything.
Okay. Aaliyah, what about you, dear? Anything you want to leave out?
You know what? Just know yourself. Know yourself. You know when something is wrong. Trust yourself and don't let nobody tell you that nothing's wrong with you.
Okay, I like that. And Miss Free Ross and Miss Fisher?
First word in the Bible is in, so check in with yourself.
Amen.
Oh,
Amen.
And
Got it. Miss Ross?
the poetess always says, each one reach one. And I say, each one teach one.
Amen. All right, guys, I think we had a pretty fun time. Well, I had a pretty fun time.
Yes.
Next week, guys, let me give our listeners what we're going to be doing. Frida Ross, she came up with this amazing topic, and we're going to be talking about bruised.
But not broken.
And you know what? Word on the street is that Dr. Feel Good. Maybe in the studio. So, woo. We'll see what that's going to be
now.
about. So, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to the Poetry of Justice show with Jackie Ray Phillips here on YikesRadio.com.
Yikes.
Awesome sauce. That's good
Young
stuff.
lady.
Love and gentlemen.
Song right here.
You like this one, Gigi?